No catastrophes.
Hey, you
It's
know
a
what you
live
sound like?
show. It's a live show.
You know what you sound like?
Musk?
Mm-mm.
No?
Jeff.
I think he's got some complaints though.
He
I
does.
think where you asked me, I'm good. I think Jeff Bezos would be a little bit. He'd have a few things to say.
All right. Well,
So,
you know what? Then why don't you
shall
take
we?
it from
Shall
there?
we?
Starting
Yes.
this Monday,
Shall we?
Corey's going to lead off with this article from The Verge
Do it.
discussing the very same idea about Jeff Bezos fighting back.
Jeff Bebo.
Be-
Uh,
Bebop.
so yeah, so welcome again to the chat. This first article is from The Verge. It just says Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin suing NASA now, escalating the fight for the moon lander contract. So okay, so a quick recap if you guys aren't quite up to speed. So Jeff Bezos and well, there's a competition to see what company would support the human landing system for the Artemis program going back to the moon. And Elon Musk company SpaceX was selected. And there's been some back and forth going on for a while now after that was announced that Blue Origin is not happy with that decision and is basically thinking that the NASA miscommunicated or didn't uphold their end of the bargain as far as the competition goes.
Possibly.
And Bezos is saying that with more than one company being selected, that or with more than one company, if they would have been selected more than one company, that there would be better competition, better results basically for America to get back to the moon. And long story short, that didn't happen. NASA said they had some money issues, and they opted to just go with SpaceX, which they said they could do. And of course, Blue Origin is not happy about that. So now Blue or Bezos is launched actually a lawsuit against NASA,
right,
and the Artemis program. So that's obviously going to delay the Artemis program even some more. We tried to find more info about the actual terms of the lawsuit.
Bitterness.
But really, right here, well, yeah, of course. but literally says the protest is prevented. You can't see it. Basically, where does it say? Oh, right here. Yeah. The U.S. they filed it in the U.S. Federal Claims Court, and the actual order itself is shrouded behind a protective order. So we actually can't see the terms exactly what's going on. The only thing we really have a few quotes for you. Basically to say that for quote from one of the people at Blue Origin, quote, NASA's unlawful and improper evaluation of proposals submitted under the moon competition is why they're basically doing this. And they're saying that we firmly believe that the issues identified in this procurement and its outcomes must be addressed to restore fairness, as we mentioned, creative competition, and store a safe return to the moon for America. So no real big surprise there. We kind of wish we'd be able to see what he's asking for, what they really want. You can imagine Musk is kind of having some fun with this because he's still, of course, Artemis is a bit delayed. But Musk is still planning on working towards that and things. So, but he's always has something to say. And if we go down here, it does mention later in the article that Musk basically Blue Origin. Another thing they were mentioning about Blue Origin was saying about SpaceX is Blue Origin had targeted basically the Starship itself and said to get a Starship to land on the moon, they need upwards of maybe 16 launches. This is Blue Origin saying this. Musk quickly defends that via Twitter, of course, to say that 16 flights extremely unlikely, and a max of 8 would be more likely for a lunar lander, a maximum of 8. And then he even goes on to say, let's see. However, even if 16 flights with docking was the case, this would be a problem. SpaceX did more than 16 orbital flights in the first half of 2021 and has docked with the space station, the ISS, over 20 times, saying that that's a harder docking than a Starship docking with a Starship, which would be required to get to the moon. And then lastly, I'll turn over to you, Mike, here. Last quote from Musk, as always, is a good thing for Musk. He says, throwing a little bit of snark towards Blue Origin and Jeff Bezos, of course. Quote, the sad thing is that even if Santa Claus suddenly made their hardware real for free, the first thing you'd want to do is cancel it. So, end quote, of course. So yeah, going over to you, Mike. It's the ongoing saga between Blue Origin and SpaceX, eh?
No, it's actually kind of okay. Look, first of all, the only person in the room that I know that made any attempt to sway NASA's decision by cutting $2 billion from their costs and saying basically we'll eat it has been one Jeff Bezos, right? And I understand that the bitterness exists, that obviously we have to go with some hardcore facts here. And the hardcore facts are that SpaceX has been very successful in delivering things into space recently. Matter of fact, using their own SpaceX rockets to go ahead and produce what's going to be almost a dominating satellite system in Starlink, right? That's happening. And I understand that Jeff hasn't had any that commercial success. And I could understand that they think that they've got another program or something else that should have been selected as a cost analysis basis. I get that. But this is getting to be bitter, right? It's getting to be bitter. It's getting to be bitter in the sense that you're saying, look, NASA went through their selection process as they always have. They said they agonized over it. They said that they went through 12 months of really scrutinizing what they thought was going to be ultimate end goal, right? And let's face it, SpaceX has more than one area where they've already been selected for the things, which is their Dragon capsule, right? That's doing really, really well. They're resupplying the ISS, putting these microsats into space. I just don't see where Jeff really has anything to stand on except for the fact that he is buying time for Blue Origin to play catch up. That's my feeling.
I mean, you even mentioned that Jeff Bezos had told NASA he would foot the bill for some of the things. I remember I had read something that Elon also said he'd foot the bill for NASA for the spacesuits, because NASA was saying they had some issues with getting the spacesuits done by a certain time.
Right.
And Elon even told NASA. So it's kind of like tit for tat here, right? So Elon even responded publicly to NASA to say, hey, you know, if you need SpaceX to build the spacesuits to make Artemis work out for the lunar mission, then we can do that too. And a watchdog is saying, or estimating that program for just the spacesuits would cost upwards near $1 billion. So it's billionaires being mad at billionaires here. You know, on the channel, Mike and I, we'd like to have multiple companies in there. We live near the Space Coast. We like seeing multiple companies out here. We don't want to see just one.
Right, sure.
We'd like to see a whole bunch of people out here launching and having a successful space adventures. But the things going on here between Elon and Jeff are. I mean, again, I want to see what he's really asking, but.
So here's the difference, though, right? And the personalities are playing out here, right?
Sure.
Jeff Bezos is more strict, you know. He's a little bit more the traditional role of what you would think a billionaire would be, whereas Elon Musk is more flamboyant, a little bit more off on the cuff, and a little bit more personable in the sense of what he releases out on Twitter. Gives him a personality of saying, look, we're not going to be boastful, but we're not going to be bashful either, and then we're going to be boastful, right? And I get the two of them coming to different positions, because obviously when Jeff met and Musk met a long time ago, their views on space exploration and what it meant to mankind were totally different. Whereas obviously Musk really wants to colonize a planet. He says that's the only way to move our species forward. And Jeff was more or less in for it for the rockets, right? Just putting things into space. So they both have two totally different motives. Again, you can't overlook the success that SpaceX has had to date. It's such a wealth of experience that they've put out there. They have garnered so much more experience than just putting 4 people into space that were astronauts. And that's really the only claim for fame that Blue Origin has right now. They're still in catch-up mode. All right, so yeah, a third of the way through, you cut out.
Okay, well.
Okay, well, it's just, hey, I think we got a good enough segment out of it.
Okay,
I think it was good. But you know what?
I can do a recap here. I'll do a recap here. So guys that are in the chat. So we had a little bit of audio issues, but let me just recap here, right? And I won't say everything, but we'll recap. So basically, the article is saying that Jeff Bezos is.
Oh, that worked. No, it got all that.
All that looking to sue NASA and all that, right? So
yeah.
I mean, the comment.
Your last comment.
The comment there was basically.
Oh, you talked about the spacesuits. You talked about the fact
that
if
you guys heard about the spacesuits, right? They're both of them are saying they'll foot the bill for the spacesuits, which is about $1 billion for NASA.
Right.
So there's that tit for tat there with those guys, and kind of what Mike was saying, and hopefully I was saying near the end too, is that there is I remember I was talking about rapid prototype.
Right.
So what I was saying, basically the idea there was that people. As an idea,
about
right?
Things blowing up.
People, people kind of defer to the last thing they kind of thought about with the topic. And where I'm going with that is, right, SpaceX has this rapid prototyping phase where like you guys have seen, we've done on our channel, we cover it. Mike and I keep track of it too. Where SpaceX, especially, let's think about when they were doing their Starship testing, and they're still doing it now, of course. Right? They do rapid prototyping in the sense that there's sometimes 3 vehicles they have in line to test, and they're doing one test, but they got maybe 2 more waiting. So the idea is that even if they say, okay, we're gonna do a test on Starship, next week,
right,
and we just want ABC data out of that, but it may blow up, may not even land, but we're just getting this data to use it on the next one, and then it does blow up. Of course, we get some seemingly negative press about that because it blew up, of course, and that's normally bad. And where I was going with that, but SpaceX has another one in 2 weeks, and people, if that one goes fine and they get data out of that, then they don't forget, but it's less in people's minds because there was a successful launch, yesterday when the rocket blew up 2 weeks ago. But they're so quick about it. And where I was going with that was to say, in the past, let's say like NASA, right? If you guys know, keeping track of NASA, when NASA made rockets,
I was just gonna say this.
If they went years working on one rocket, then test flew it, and then lost it, that's obviously really bad press. And they may not have another one to test for more years again because that's how they do it. They do a lot of testing.
See, but here's I think the difference.
So it's not rapid prototyping as a matter of development, and so
I think there's a difference in the aspect though, in the psyche of what that meant. When we blew up a rocket way back when over the coast of Florida,
they blew up on purpose, literally on purpose.
They blew up some of them on purpose, but the difference was we were in a space race against Russia, and there was repercussions on a national level about who would reach space milestones first because it meant some sort of ownership, right? And that was a big difference in I think the driving factor of what's going on. This is internal. So this is between 2 space companies here now, not 2 countries because of how it's being dominated, which is kind of different, right? But
I private companies too.
Right. And I understand
where not a government entity.
But the way that relates to what you were just saying is that the psyche doesn't change in the fact that people are judging them from the perspective of, well, who would I trust to get us to the next level? And I think you're right on point, which is you have to take SpaceX and the way that they do business seriously, because despite what the outward looks might be, they are successful. And that is problematic for all those that come into that marketplace, because it is very difficult for others to get a foothold in a place that SpaceX has proven they've got a great track record. They can do it their way. And they set milestones, and they hit them very quickly.
Yeah, and they keep iterating as well.
Yes.
They keep changing.
And
it's not like they have Falcon 9s and Falcon 9s working now. They're just like, okay, cool, we're gonna sit back.
No.
So everything's good. No, they obviously got more Falcon Heavies coming.
Right.
They've obviously got Starship, which is obviously the big thing going on. They got Starlink going on.
Sure.
So ISS resupplies. So it's
lot there. All right. Hey, like, subscribe, follow. Sorry about the audio dropouts there. If you get a chance to rewatch the episode, thanks so much for your support. But hey, it's live TV. This happens.
Yeah.
And if you noticed, we have a very small studio and a very small support staff, which is us.
Yeah. So when we know more about this dispute, we'll obviously bring it to you guys and let you know. We'll keep track of it because we also obviously are interested in seeing what the actual lawsuit entails, and then what happens. So. But yeah, thanks. Like, subscribe, share. Hit the bell. You guys know the drill. Thank you so much.
You guys know it.
And we'll check back in.
There you go. Okay. So where do we want to go from here? Want to go?
We wanted to do a really fast.
Okay, but that's going to make me do a double, and then you're going to follow up with the last one. Fine. Perfect. Okay.
Whatever.
Here you go. Dun dun dun. Hey, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. That was Rimac.
Oh yes.
The Nevera obliterated the quarter-mile production time, and that was basically something that was anticipated. However, in between all that, since we've recently discussed about it, there's been the introduction of the Tesla Plaid, which is fantastic, which also became the fastest production car in the quarter mile. And then Rimac has looked to steal that back, even after there's been a partial investment from Porsche in the not too recent weeks. So that's pretty cool. But this just goes to speak about how fast the Rimac actually is. And I have to say this, it's actually freaking incredible. So here we go. Rimac Nevera obliterates the production car quarter mile record. And there's a handful of cars that are capable of doing the quarter mile in like sub 10 seconds.
Yep.
But this car has about 2,655 pounds of torque and almost 2,000 horsepower, and had an astonishing 8.582 second run. Now, it took a few runs to get there. It also, at the same time, recorded the fastest 0 to 60 time, which was a 1.9, I believe.
1.90.
0.90 even. Okay, they turned some other times of 0.874. Okay, another one was 0.861. But the 11th run, they hit a top speed of 167 miles an hour. And they broke the record at 8.582 seconds. All right, now here's the thing that's really important that needs to be looked at. Rimac sits at top at 8.5.
Yep.
But the price of a Rimac is millions.
Oh yeah.
The Tesla Model S Plaid is not millions. It's about $130,000, right?
I think it's like 140 something.
140. It's still at 9.2. And then you have another $1 million supercar, which is the Bugatti, the Chiron. Then you have the McLaren, which is, up there in price. Then you have the Spider. So if you look the Fast Company, I think this should really read that it's really great that all these guys can spend a ton of money to get these supersonic one-off quarter-mile track times records. However, you could still go buy a Tesla for about $150 right now, and you could quietly go out to any one of the racetracks across America and probably rank yourself at a 0.92 quarter-mile time at the snap of fingers.
And then promptly get thrown out because you went too fast. I don't know if you guys kept track of that, but if you don't have a roll cage and other things, if you go too fast at a drag strip, they'll tell you to leave because you don't have the proper equipment. So, but yeah, Mike's right on it there. I mean, this is not to discount Rimac's achievement here. It's amazing.
No, not really.
And it's an amazing car. Quad turbos, obviously, like we said, near 2,000 horsepower. Okay, it's amazing. But yeah, it's what, 2.5 million or some craziness.
Yes.
So
it's 4
not
electric
surprising, quite impressive, but not surprising. But yeah, as Mike said, there's 8 cars on this list. We got this short list here, and number 2 is under 200,000. So you can go put an order in, now online. So
for all the petrol heads out there, though, so here's the other problem, right?
Okay.
The Bugatti is the first one that really makes a jump in there. That's an ICE, internally combustion engine. Right. And the problem is that is still a multi-million-dollar car. Right. And now let's take a look about the daily drivability of these other cars that are on this list, because none of these other cars on the list have daily driverability except for the Tesla Model S Plaid. So while we're really saluting again Rimac, and Corey's right. You're taking a triumphant, stomp down the middle of the runway and saying, hey, by the way, we did this at 8.5. We're fantastic. It's a supercar.
Yep. Amazing.
And here's my 4-door daily commuter.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to, yeah.
That's like somebody taking a turbocharger, throwing on an old, Chrysler minivan that had the 1.8 liter or the 2.2 liter turbo, and just jumping that thing up with a stage 3 kit and going out and smoking some Hemis and going, hey, it's all really great, but this old stuff off the shelf still works really, really well, and it's super quick. But then you have a Tesla Model S Plaid thrown in the middle. I want to know what you guys think, because look, should we be celebrating these supercars for going ultimately faster at quarter miles than most people should be able to do without a drag license? Number 1.
That's true.
Number 2, should we be celebrating other cars that are more innovative in the fact that they're actually doing this as daily drivers?